Welcome to Cooking with Bobby Joe. Chastity here with another drool-worthy human treat. Today we're making my father-in-law a coconut cream pie for Father's Day. This recipe is out of this cookbook, Reader's Digest Creative Cooking. I use this cookbook in my video on how to make a bird bath from a lamp. I use it as a weight because it's heavy, so I use it to hold down the spacer while the glue dried. I got a couple of emails from viewers that watched that video asking if I could do a review of the cookbook. And I don't usually do cookbook reviews, but I promised to do this one, so here it goes. So like I said, this cookbook is Creative Cooking, Reader's Digest, and it has a beautiful hardcover. Inside it has a card where you can order another copy of this book for a friend. I'm sure it's expired by now. And there's a name inside the book in the year 1975, and I'm not sure, maybe it was a gift given in 1975. That was the year I was born. So this is a very old cookbook, and it is definitely vintage because I am vintage. There were 1973 and 1977 editions printed. And this cookbook is full of a lot of info. Like it starts out with buying for quality, and it teaches you how to buy quality meats, veggies, fruits, cheeses, all kinds of stuff. Then it'll go into detail about all the different types of fruits, and I love the photos. There are tons of photos in this book. Goes into details about the veggies, freshwater fish, saltwater fish, shellfish, poultry, game. And you don't see many cookbooks of the newer cookbooks that have game in them. But a lot of the older cookbooks, especially the vintage cookbooks, they always have game in them. People used to always cook with game. A lot of people still cook with game. And it shows beef, and it also shows the cow and all the different parts of beef and where it's located on the cow. And it's the same with veal and lamb. It has details. It shows details of every part of the animal. Then you have a section on organ meats, and down below is details on the different types of organ meats. People used to eat every part of the animal. I'm not into organ meats, but my dogs love organ meats, and they're very healthy for dogs. I'm sure they're healthy for humans too. I'm just not going to eat a brain or a liver. I just can't bring myself to do that. If I get hungry enough, I'm sure I would eat some organ meat. But my dogs love organ meat, and our grocery store down the road, they always have every part of the animal for sale. And you can get like chicken livers. You can get a pint of chicken livers for like $1. And they make great dog treats. The dogs absolutely love liver dog treats. They also have beef liver. They have all types of liver. They have kidneys. They have brains. They have everything up there. And I know a lot of people will probably walk into that grocery store and be totally disgusted because there's every part of the animal. But back in the day, you used every part of the animal. You didn't waste anything. And then this book is sectioned by months. Like, for instance, January has a list of recipes, and it's like a list of recipes for the entire month of January. And when you get to December, it has a section that's called Christmas in Europe, which is very neat to read all about the different things they made for Christmas in different areas of Europe. It also teaches basic cooking methods in detail with illustrations. A term used in the recipe I'm doing today is scalded milk, and a lot of people may not know what scalded milk is. So I looked up the definition and it says scald, to heat milk or cream just below boiling point. And then there's a section on cooking utensils, and see number 43, a rotary beater. I found one of those in the basement. It's a little rusty, but I'm going to work on restoring it. Hopefully I can get it to where I can use it. If not, I'll just use it as decoration in the kitchen. And look at all the cooking equipment. And if you're new to cooking, this would be the perfect book for you. It has tons of information in it. Oh, and it even shows how to make jellies, and it also has canning techniques. It literally has everything you need to know about cooking and baking in this book. And my favorite section is the Christmas section. I will have to try some of these recipes at Christmas. And it's a heavy, hardback book, and it has 431 pages. And this book is beautiful on the back too. Look at the back of it. It's just a very beautiful vintage cookbook. I'm happy to have it in my collection. Well, I hope that's a good enough review. If you have any questions about it, just leave it in the comments or send me an email. So on to the recipe. I will be making a recipe from the January menu section of this book, and it's a coconut cream pie. I'm skipping the part where I make my own pie crust. I have a Pillsbury pie dough. Actually, I think it may be Aldi brand, but it works just the same. It's just a lot cheaper. I leave it out until it reaches room temperature so it'll roll easier. And I'm using a disposable pie plate today because I will be giving this pie away. I always keep these on hand because I bake a lot of gifts. And these have a bottom and top cover that snaps together to completely protect the pie. Kind of like what you would pick up if you go pick up a pie at the bakery. I spray the pie pan with olive oil, or you can just use regular non-stick cooking spray. Roll out the dough, shape it around the pie plate, punch holes around it with a fork. I do the sides and the bottom. Place it in the oven and bake for about 25 minutes. And while the pie crust is baking, I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the custard. Homemade custard is so delicious. It does take a little time and patience, but it's worth it. I'm going to start by scalding my milk, and I need 3 cups of scalded milk for this recipe. Just turn the heat on medium-low and heat the milk to just before boiling. The recipe says you can use part cream, part milk, or part evaporated milk and part milk for a richer flavor. A lot of people do not realize this, but you can use powdered milk for baking. This is what I'm doing these days because a gallon of milk costs $5. I have stocked up on a couple of large bags of powdered milk from Sam's. You just want to follow the instructions on the back of the bag on how to mix it. And I use a glass half-gallon jar, mix it up, and leave it in the fridge until I'm ready to use it. A lot of vintage recipes call for powdered milk anyway. So for this recipe, I'm going to use 1.5 cups of heavy cream and 1.5 cups of powdered milk already pre-mixed in the fridge. Once the milk is scalded, mix together 3/4 a cup of sugar, a 1/2 cup of flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 eggs. You want to slowly add in the 3 cups of scalded milk. Over low heat, stir constantly. This recipe says until it begins to boil. I say until it thickens. The recipe does not give a time frame, but I can tell you from making custard pies, it will take about 20 to 25 minutes. I turn the heat up a little more. I turn it to medium low. I don't just leave it on low. And I stir it constantly for about a minute, and then I rest a couple of minutes and go back and stir more. The reason it says constantly stir is so it doesn't get lumpy, but you don't really have to worry about lumps until it starts to thicken. And once it starts to thicken, I will stir it constantly. Okay, see, it's starting to get a little thicker. Okay, we're about at 20 minutes in now, and see how thick it is? It should get thick like pudding. And don't forget about the pie crust. Mine is ready, so I'm taking it out of the oven. I'm going to set it aside to cool. You want to make sure you get this filling thick enough because it's not going to get any thicker in the fridge. What you have right now is what you will have when you put it in the pie crust. So if it's runny, it's going to be a runny pie. You want to make sure it's thick enough, so just take your time and let it get thick. Once it's ready, remove it from the heat, add in the vanilla extract. The recipe says to cool to room temperature. My kitchen, it is very hot right now. I would say it's probably 110 degrees in here. This will be the last thing I bake until this heat wave is over, which here in Tennessee, that'll be around October or November. Speaking of heat, make sure the oven is preheating to 350 degrees. Okay, you want to fold in 3/4 a cup of shredded coconut. I also toasted my coconut. The recipe does not call for this, but toasted coconut has such a great flavor to it. And I leave some to the side to add to the top. So I probably use more like a cup of coconut altogether, 3/4 a cup in the pie and 1/4 a cup on top. So pour the custard in the pie crust and bake on 350 for 15 to 20 minutes. For the topping, you can use whipped cream or meringue, whichever you prefer. I'm using whipped cream on this one. If you don't know how to make your own whipped cream, it's really simple. Add 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 1/4 a teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1/3 a cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Mix it all together until soft peaks form. And the cream of tartar helps stabilize the whipped cream, so I always use it when I'm making whipped cream for pies. Once the pie is done, remove it from the oven and place on a cooling rack. And once it has cooled down, top it with the whipped cream and then the remaining toasted coconut. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? I'm putting it in my pie protector and taking it to my in-laws. And nope, I don't even get to taste test this. I will get my father-in-law to send me a photo of his slice of pie and give me a review. Oh, that looks so good. So they said it was absolutely delicious. I know it was because I made this recipe before and it's always the one I use because it is perfect. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave a comment. Thanks for stopping by and watching. Stay tuned for more drool-worthy human and doggy treats, and don't forget to check out the Lake Hill City Birds on Monday. Hope y'all have a very blessed day. Bye for now.